Hey guys, so TI9 is going on right now. I think literally right now. Day 4 started a few minutes ago, and I've been watching a lot of games from player perspective, trying to, I think I'm a pretty good support, but I'm clearly not a pro player. So I like seeing what they do that maybe I miss out on and try to pick up these small tips and tricks. So I thought I'd make a video about that, and then I had this idea to I picked Dark Willow. Let's compare how different players play her, or how the same player plays her in multiple games. Did a lot of prep for it, watched 9 games. Day 1 they picked 6 times, day 2 picked 3 times. Had this whole idea for it, ran out of time. Some stuff came up, I just don't have time to put in the full effort into this video that I really wanted to. Why am I still doing it? Because I spent like 10 hours watching games and taking notes. So we're still going to go through some of these clips pretty quickly. We're just not going to spend as much time theorizing. I say that now, we'll see. But to go through some of these slides quickly, there were 9 games, 3 by Alliance, 1 by Alliance because I can't type, Fnatic, Secret, Navi, and 2 by EG. This 4th game by Alliance versus TNC, and then both EG games, both of those were day 2 of the group stages, and the rest of them were from day 1. If you don't want any spoilers for some reason, you plan on watching all the games, don't want any of that, I guess stop watching here. I won't necessarily say who wins or loses, but we're going to watch clips from the game, so that might make it obvious what happens. So I would stop watching now. Please come back later, maybe, when you finish these games, but if not, whatever. We won't talk about this too much because, frankly, this hero's probably going to get nerfed after TI9 again. Well, she had buffs for a while, and then she came out OP, got nerfed, got buffed, got nerfed. Still pretty good. So why am I even making this video if it's going to change? I don't know. But it probably won't change too much, really. So we'll still talk about it, and we'll talk about the ideas behind it pretty quickly. Again, because it might change, and I'm not fully prepared to talk about it correctly. I would just, throw out my ideas, and I don't think that would be interesting. So, first, Bramble Maze, best spell to take level 1. Why? Because each Bramble does damage, and you get multiple Brambles. In a pro game, they're probably only going to hit one hero, or hit a hero once, because a lot of the pros are just good at dodging the Brambles. In pub games, it's very good to take. It does 125 level 1, and a lot of people run through multiples. So if they hit 2 Brambles, 250 damage. 3 Brambles, 375 damage. I can do math. Can you think of another spell that does that much level 1? You can't, because this spell, really good. And if you compare it to the stun, which takes 4 seconds to go off, the enemy team has already run under their tower or something. And W is kind of this elusive spell, but why are you in such a bad positioning before the game's even started? And it also gives you some damage, but it's such a long cooldown, there's really no need for it level 1. Get it level 2. Unless you have a chance to kill someone. And that's when you notice some of these pros get their Cursed Crown level 2. Frequently they see a opponent slightly out of position, maybe a little too far forward, and they go for the kill. Or maybe they're in a tri-lane and they they know, right? With another stun between the 3 of us, we can kill someone. So that tends to be why they get level 2 Cursed Crown. Otherwise, they tend to get this Shadow Realm first. Then whether you get a 2nd level in Shadow Realm at level 3 or Cursed Crown, again, depends on, will a stun get us a kill, or would just extra burst get me the kill? And a lot of the times you go QWW in a 2v2 lane, because 2 heroes, if the 2nd hero has a good stun or good damage and you just need a bit more burst to get the kill. It conserves mana if you're only using 2 spells and still able to get kills. And that's kind of it. Otherwise you get Cursed Crown level 3, again, position, or you have the chance to kill, but it costs more mana to use 3 different spells. And eventually by level 4 you take the stun, just having all your spells. Even at level 1, just very good. Everyone maxes Shadow Realm first, usually by level 7. Because it reduces the cooldown and it's your elusive spell, you get it first, and it gives you this big burst of damage, which when you hit level 6 combos really well with Bedlam, which for those of you who don't play Dark Willow, you know, it has the fairy, Jex, runs around you in a circle, does a ton of damage. It's actually absurd. That's one reason why this hero is so good. But you combine that with the Shadow Realm burst, and you just get a lot of kills solo. It gives you a lot of threat. We'll see clips of this, actually, so we'll see it later. Yapzor didn't get it. He got a second point in Q at level 5. And this is part of the reason I'm not prepared. I saw it, I took note of it, and I can't remember. So we're just going to skip it for now. Talking about talents, everyone gets the cast range at level 10, the gold talent at level 15, and the Bramble Maze cooldown reduction at level 20. Now, only 2 games got to 25, and we saw one of each. Yapzor took the attack speed talent, and Zayak took the terrorize duration talent. Now, the attack speed tends to be when you need more damage on your team, and you're buying like Ags, or you're trying to transition into a core, and the terrorize duration is when your team kind of has enough damage and just needs more crowd control. But the first 3 talents, at least based on these games and from what I've seen in pubs, it's pretty unanimous. Almost everyone goes, you know, the ones I said. You'll see in that one game, Yapzor's game, where he gets it at level 11. If I recall, his team was... Actually, you know what? I'm getting that confused. We're not even going to it. I'm not going to lie to you. Taiga's game, where he gets Bramble Maze level 15 instead of the talent, they were at T3. Oh, I already gave the spoiler warning. I don't care. They were pushing T3. They were in the middle of a fight, and he valued that extra damage, extra stun, well, root duration, over some GPM. And it makes sense, right? They were trying to put themselves in a position to win. The gold at that point may not have mattered, right? If they win that fight hard enough, the game's just done. But as you can see, he picked it up immediately after. And that's because he has no other skills to level up at that point. So why wouldn't you fool? Whether you max Bramble Maze or stun first kind of just depends. Bramble Maze gives you damage. And I think that's why a lot of people tend to take it first to max it instead of Cursed Crown. Whereas Taiga kind of mixes it up, does a bit of both. Not totally sure why, to be honest. Kind of a preference thing. I won't go too much into this, except to say that everyone buys heals first. That's the most important item for this hero based on her combo, which we'll see in clips. Then Blink tends to be the next item, and if you didn't get Tranquils already, then they get it then. And Aeon Disc allows this hero, because the way you want to play this hero most of the time is to be on the side, kind of just throwing in a lot of spells. And Aeon Disc just lets you survive more and do that. DJ played a very greedy style of this hero, and I think I'll wait to the clips again to talk about it. But essentially, he got a lot of priority from his team, which allowed him to get Scythe right after. And it kind of fit his role that game. Zayak's build, you'll note this Dagon. No idea. I'm not a pro. I wasn't in that game. I don't know what they were saying. But boy, was I confused watching that game. Because he got the usual. I don't know if he got Tranquils first, but he got the Yule's Blink Tranquils. Then he got the Aeon Disc. Very typical, standard at that point. Then he bought Dagon. And I was very surprised. I don't know why he bought Dagon. And you might be thinking, is that all he bought that game? No, he bought a Ghost Scepter. And you might be saying, where's that Ghost Scepter? He sold his Aeon Disc for that Ghost Scepter. But why is an Aeon Disc there? Because he then sold the Ghost Scepter to buy an Aeon Disc again. He lost 3,000 gold by selling items and then buying them again. And I have no idea. Open Dota says he used his Dagon 7 times. That was a very long game. I don't know. I know that sounds flaming to Zayak. I'm not trying to, but it kind of is, because I had no idea. I mean, in his draft, he had like an AA, and I guess they were trying to burst people, but I don't know. I don't know, and we'll move on. Here are slides I had prepared, but we don't have time to do them justice. I would just be kind of rambling through it, and so I guess I'll just skip it. I will note, okay, these first 3 games are from day 1, last one's from day 2, and you'll notice he changed his build. I'm not fully sure if that's based on, say, some of the heroes he was against, or what, but I feel like day 1, a lot of people were kind of debuting, whatever, the Sage's Mask first build, and I think that maybe he liked it. He thought, oh, okay, that's a cool one, I'm going to try it out. I'm not sure, but even since the summit, he was doing this first build. And only recently did he start doing the Sage's Mask first. So read into that how you will. But I think it's a really good starting build. In this lane, it was 2v3. It was Dark Willow and Sand King versus Leshrac, Grimstroke, AM. And see, it confused me, like, why would you get it against AM, who's going to burn your mana? Why wouldn't you buy mangoes or something? Or why wouldn't you want a wand specifically in this game, like he usually gets, but he didn't get this game because he didn't get the Iron Branches? I don't know. The armor against Leshrac's W? I don't know. DJ, Yapser, Zayak. Again, won't talk about it too much. Yapser doing the Sage's Mask first build. DJ doing kind of a more standard build. And Zayak kind of similar to Taiga's build. Yeah, there you can see the draft and why I just don't know what. I feel like a Scythe, like, that's usually what people get next on this hero after Aeon Disc is Scythe. Sometimes you get Ags. Both seem good for damage. I'm just not sure. I don't know. Crit. Did the Sage's Mask build both times. So therefore we can declare it's the best build because he's a level 25 Dark Willow. So why wouldn't he do the best stuff? Duh. I don't know. Okay, so for the very first clip, in this Dark Willow montage essentially, is a tip unrelated to Dark Willow, but a very cool one nonetheless. What Taiga does in a lot of his games is he checks the mid lane for a ward. So you see first he steps over here, checks top for his team. Good awareness on this guy. Then he comes over here and checks this side. So what does that do? You'll see the tower hits him when he leaves. And you can see this tower range. So, even though he's in tower range here and here, because the trees block vision, the tower can't hit him. So, if a ward had been here, then it would spot him here and he would be hit. And he would know he has a sentry that he bought. He could deward it. And same over here. If a ward was here, he could deward this one and he would be good to go. What does that look like from Radiant perspective, you ask? Why, here you go. I'll show you. So, from Radiant's perspective, you can tell what he's doing, but no one really stands mid, so no one can really stop him from doing this. Like, you see him walk in, check, leaves, but because you don't have vision, you see that the tower doesn't hit him. When he leaves here, I think it may not be possible to get out without being hit once, but for some reason you can sneak in. I don't know. Yeah, it's a nifty trick. Depending on what MMR you are, high MMR pubs, you can probably use this a lot because a lot of times ward goes mid. And if you're in a lower level game where your wards aren't bought or they don't always go mid, then I guess don't need this tip. So the next trick we're going to see him do is to use his Q to secure this range creep. And he auto attacks at the same time, just to get the range creep because it's worth a lot. You don't want to get denied. So by combining the damage from Brambles Maze with an auto attack, it's a very good way to secure the range creep, which I hadn't thought to use it that way, so maybe you haven't either. Pretty good. Now coming up here, we're going to see that he has 500 gold, and he chooses to buy a boot first in this lane instead of a magic stick. And I believe it's because Jakiro's Liquid Fire doesn't proc the magic stick charge, and although he does cast Liquid Fire, or I'm sorry, the Dual Breath, it's just not as often. And then Arc Warden also uses a spell, mainly his, his Spark Wraith. But I think Taiga values being able to walk out of Spark Wraith more than having mana from a magic stick when he gets cast. So, yeah, that's all. Alright, so here we're going to see several things at once. First, he denies himself. Not really a Dark Willow tip specifically, but just something to look out for. If you're going to die, you might be able to deny yourself to neutrals. We're going to see he buys some tangos and a mango next, even though he has some other stuff he could buy instead. Now the reason for this is he's doing pretty well bottom, and he wants to be able to keep that pressure up. He doesn't want to fall low on regen or mana. And he also TPs to lane. A lot of times you want to save that so that you can respond to pressure in mid or top, but because they're doing so well bottom, he wants to TP down here right away, keep that pressure up, and he doesn't feel that if he were to save it to respond, it just doesn't do as much. I'm pausing here to point out, notice where he always uses Brambles. He lets Ogre stun first, and then follows up with the Brambles, and he wants to set up Brambles in a way that you know, it maximizes the chance that if Jakiro runs away, he might run through another bramble. So whether that's this way or this way, granted, a lot of pro players very good at dodging brambles, but you might as well give yourself the extra opportunity. You might be able to body block him into it. And in fact, later we're going to see a clip where they do body block. Not in this game. It'll be much later. You probably won't even remember it, but it was very cool. And we're going to see it. And we're going to wait because the next trick is coming up right here. He's going to pull, and a lot of the times the instinct is to just last hit, right? But they saw Jakiro there, and they decide to go in immediately. So again, they let the ogre stun first, drop the brambles so that if he were to run this way, he's more likely to run into brambles. Unfortunately, this time, the enemy creeps right here. They kind of eat the brambles up. But the bright side of that is that they are less... You know, there's another second that these creeps are stuck in the roots as opposed to hitting Boxy or Taiga. But you'll see this kill that they get. And it was just a cool... Again, not Dark Willow specific, but they saw an opportunity and they went for it. And that's just something you can do with Dark Willow with the brambles if your teammate has a stun. Anytime you see one person alone, if they stun, you have a very easy setup for your brambles, can get a lot of kills that way. They're very good about it. If you're interested in getting early kills on this hero, Alliance does a very good job of playing this hero. So next up, you'll see he has his Ring of Basilius we briefly talked about. Interestingly, he has the Windlace backpack. We're going to get into this. Pay attention to how low his health drops in this fight, because I probably would have put in this Windlace instead of one of these Iron Branches. And granted, maybe he could have done it over the wards, but I think he was thinking he was going to place them when he accidentally ran into these guys. So yeah, let's just go. This is an example of using Cursed Crown too. So he uses Shadow Realm because they're going on him, doesn't want to take too much damage. Uses E, and because it has 4 seconds before it goes off, Boxy has time to stun, and then by the time his stun is over, now his stun goes off, setting up an easy Brambles. This time he places it to hit both of them, so although he would probably run this way, and you know I said before you place it in a way to prevent them from running, this time he sets it up so that, you know, he hits both of these heroes. And, you know, it's a very easy setup with the stun, and they get a kill. He pushes his limits here. Watch the health, drops 35, 36, which is what these two Iron Branches give him. So, for at least Dark Willow, we can assume that he values the stats more than the movement speed from Windlace. At least when he has boost. I don't know what else he would have. And again, that's just showing what you can do with the hero. Even though he was so low, puts the stun, backs away until it goes off, and then he turns around. And it's not that he just forgot the Windlace is there. I'll speed up a bit here. Once he places this last ward, immediately swaps it in. So he was very aware that he had that in his backpack, which leads me to believe that it was a very conscious decision, and he chose to value it over the... Or he chose to value an Iron Branch, even though it was one stat, over that Windlace, which I thought was just cool. Alright, next up we have a solo kill. So he noticed that the Arc Warden clone is there. You can't really tell on this minimap. So he was looking for the real one, finds it, uses his E first, walks up next to him with Bedlam, uses Shadow Realm, attacks, brambles after the stun, all of that. He's going to die for it, but he's a position 4 to their carry Arc Warden. So it's very worth that solo kill. And that's just kind of the order you should use those abilities in. We'll see other clips of it. If you want to rewind and watch it again, you can. But you stun, you run next to him while you Shadow Realm, so he can't even auto-attack back. He just has to run. Then when the stun goes off, you brambles at the end, hit him with the W, then auto-attack. Kill on most heroes very early if you can get a fast 6. And in this game, you'll see that he's 6 before even using this tome. That's really what you want. You want to get 6 before level 10. And in a lot of these games, when this Dark Willow does well, they're hitting that early level 6. And when they aren't doing well, it's a very late level 6. Which sounds obvious, I guess. But I guess what I'm saying is the way you want to play the hero, you want to sap XP and get that fast level 6 so that it enables you to get these kind of solo kills like we just saw. Now, if you watch the stream of this game, they actually focused on this tower, and they actually missed the solo kill. Because I had the stream up on the side and the game in front of me. He actually comes here and solo kills the Apsor. Just, again, same combo that you just saw. Gets the solo kill. It's even 1v2 technically for the last half. Fears to get out. So that's kind of what you can do with this hero. While the team had them split, you know, he drew the attention of 2 heroes on his own, got a kill, got out. That's why this hero is good. So again, if you were watching this stream, you might recognize this moment. They were very excited about this. It was actually quite easy for him to fear because, you know, they were all chasing his Death Prophet. But I put it in as a good example of like what you can do with the fear. You can enable your team to get out. You just interrupt the fight because you force them all to run away. And we're going to keep going from here, actually, because we're going to, you know, we'll even speed up a bit. You can even watch the minimap. But notice his team does stuff while he just stays up top farming. And this happens for a lot of the Dark Willow games, so I'm not sure if I'm going to include it from the other games in those clips. But it's around this time when they're trying to farm up the Yules. The team gives them time to just sit in the solo lane, and the team makes plays. And it benefits both sides. I won't talk about it too much this time, but I just wanted to point it out as a, you know, if you play Dark Willow, you know, look for this kind of stuff wherein you can farm the Yules on your own. Survives during this whole fight, but I'm not even going to talk about it. Alright, if you watch the game, you know what's about to happen. This isn't something you'll use in most of your games, but it was pretty cool, so I had to include it. He's about to steal Roche. He's going to fear into the pit. He can't see inside the pit. He knows Roche is low from earlier. I didn't include that. They know it's pretty low, so by gut feeling, he fears it. And watch the blink dagger spacing. He's in a very good spot to be able to blink straight in with this cast range talent, which I thought was cool. I don't know if he's like something he explored or just like did on the fly. I actually don't think he expected to actually land the fear like this. I think it was more of a zoning fear, because you'll notice he moves out of the spot and then realizes, oh, they didn't pick it up. I gotta blink in to get this. Blinks in, goes to click it, sees Kunkka's about to grab it, Yules is him, then grabs it. I'm going to explain it all so that we can watch this clip in slow-mo, because there's no way I can say it all in time otherwise. I'm going to slow it down. So that's his blink dagger. Fakes the terrorize once. Not really fakes it, but he didn't feel the time was right. Just speed it up a little more. Alright, here we go. So, lands the terrorize, starts walking away. Oh man, Aegis is down. So, it's not something you'll use in a lot of your games, but it was a very cool. Sadly, they didn't win. Spoiler. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't going to say it, but I said it. Sometimes great things don't work out. But he played really well. And then we'll move on to the next game now. Alright. The first thing we're going to note from this new game is that he's willing to 1v1 an axe for the rune. There's a clip later, I'll probably include it, of a 1v1 against Jug, and whoever it was decided it wasn't worth risking. So I think that kind of thing is useful to kind of get a gauge for who they feel this hero can kind of go toe-to-toe against without risk of dying. Next, we're going to see a similar trick, right? This is his, de-warding trick. Doesn't get spotted. So he decides there's not a ward here. Decides he wants to TP bottom after placing a ward. TP's out. So why am I including this? Because it's the same thing I mentioned, right? It is. But I thought this was really cool. They did have a ward here. What? It doesn't see here. I honestly think this is the next level Puppy play. Puppy's the one who placed this ward, who knew that Taiga does this trick a lot, found a ward placement that gives mid vision, checks the rune, but would not be revealed from this spot. And I think that's really cool next level kind of play. And you know what's even cooler than that? That I have no idea if it was intentional or luck? Taiga places his ward out of vision of this ward. Isn't that nuts? Because could be total chance, you know, could absolutely be reading too much into it. But at the same time, I think when you look for these kind of warding tricks, I think Taiga would know that it's possible to have a ward placed that he can't see here, and that a countermeasure to that is to find a ward placement that doesn't get spotted by this. Because if we watch from his perspective again, I don't know why this is stuck open, but that actually kind of works out for us. You see, he kind of like misclicks it and decides to go back and then does it again. So I really feel like he knew that it needs to be placed from this area to not be seen by a ward that is actually here but isn't He doesn't commit his sentry to go for it, but still has this countermeasure of being behind the tree. Again, absolutely could be reading into it. But maybe, unless they're both just next level plays. That's what you get at TI. The only other thing I'm going to talk about from this game is he just picked up his E after hitting level 2. It's a tri-lane versus tri-lane. And I really think that they only take E level 2 when they're looking for a kill. So you see here he uses it for whatever reason they decide to back out. But you can tell by the pinging and stuff that they wanted to get a kill, and then for whatever reason, maybe because they couldn't see the other supports, they suddenly felt like maybe this is a poor idea, or maybe he's too far up. For whatever reason, they decide not to go for it. But you can see they're looking for the opportunity to kill, and I think that's why you get E at level 2 as opposed to a W. Could also be that against a Kunkka, unlikely to take X marks pretty early, but if he does, your elusive skill does nothing against X mark if he's already X'd you. I don't know. I really feel like it's the first one more. Just that you get the stun if you're looking for kills. This is still stuck open. I don't know. Replay has a lot of bugs. But that's it from this one. The other note is that he actually buys Ring of Basilius instead of Boots first. And I believe that's because it's a tri-lane versus tri-lane. Extra armor for all his buddies. It's also good against the EMP to help you regenerate some mana as you go. And that's all we'll talk about this game because they got crushed. Alright, so we're moving into DJ's game. But actually, before I forgot to say in that last clip, Boots lose some value because of X marks, which it doesn't matter if you run away, you just get dragged back. And then there's a lot of slows from Crystal Maiden and Invokers, so it's kind of useful to just have the Ring of Basilius and be kind of tankier a bit and be able to fight from there. Back into this game, DJ, Fnatic. So he starts top because of a smoke movement with his team. Kind of sees what's what up here. I don't know if they plan to tri-lane and see that it's only 2 up here. He sticks around. Here, let's speed up a bit. He sticks around to pull the next wave, kind of disrupt the natural flow of things, and then he's going to TP bottom. Now, I'm not on the team, of course. Usually, you would probably see Crystal Maiden be the 5, right? And come down here and pull, but it's DJ this time. What I think the reason for this is that DJ plays very... he has a very greedy playstyle. He's similar to Yapser that way. But... not necessarily more so, but also kind of more so. If you watch any of the Force he plays, he's given a lot of priority on his team. Now, we're going to see that this game. And I think that's why he's down here, is because he's just going to pull. He pulls a lot. He pulls through, he stacks and pulls. He only goes over if Jug is in danger or if they can get a kill. Otherwise, he just sits there and last hits. Unlike Taiga that one time, we saw him pull, and he saw an opportunity, he just left. In this case, DJ doesn't really look for the opportunity as much. He just kind of gets those last hits, and we're gonna see him take... Why is it showing? There we go. We're gonna see him take Curse Crown level 2 because Rubik is a bit out of position when he hits level 2. Not yet. But that's kind of just, again, one of those cases where this is why you take Curse Crown level 2 when you can get kills. With Juggernaut, if he can just spin on top of someone, that's a bunch of damage. And then the fact that this Rubik comes out of position a bit soon. Not quite yet. We're gonna get there. Buys Boots first. Here we go. So he's a bit out of position. Gets the stun. Gets the brambles. Easy kill. Gets Boots first, I think, because alternatively he could get a magic stick, right? But he has a lot of regen, actually, still. He's got 2 mangoes, 5 tangos, his salve. Because he's just been pulling. He hasn't been contesting or anything like that. Which is how we saw Taiga play and how we'll see a lot of the other Dark Willows plays. But he hasn't been. Jug is kind of okay on his own. It's a little tough against Ogre, but he's unlikely to die on his own. And if he starts to get to that point, then I'm sure DJ would come over a bit more. But he doesn't really get to that point, so DJ's kind of free to just do whatever. And of his early item choices, I don't think he needs a stick when he has so much regen. And I think that's his reasoning too. He'd rather have Boots to help move around and farm more. Here we have an example of DJ kind of just farming on his own, and this kind of why. Because he's so safe, right? He just Shadow Realms and, you know, drops Bramble Maze if he needs to. He's very safe to stay in this mid lane while his mid laner moves around a bit. And this is kind of the start. You can see that he's queued up Yules, has his Windlace. I skipped forward a bit here, because nothing really happened besides what I described would happen. You know, he's just trying to farm, get gold, sap XP, solo shrines. Sees Crystal Maiden is like getting gone on. He's going back mid. He doesn't care. Now, I think he probably knew Crystal Maiden was fine. Maybe they can get a kill on Venge, but he decides it's not worth it. He just wants to protect mid lane. He wants to get gold. Could there have been other thoughts? Possibly. But I think this is why. You want someone to sap XP mid, and it needs to be someone safe. Crystal Maiden could be killed by Sumail pretty easily, but this Shadow Realm just enables you to do a lot. You're just a survivable hero because you're so elusive, and you have a lot of crowd control, making it difficult to chase. He also stacks a lot this game. He stacked this one before, and I think he's doing it again. Partly because he has a Magnus with melee cores on his team to speed them up, but also I think it's because he wants the lane, right? And so if you stack these for your team, then your cores will go farm them, and then you free up the lane. You're like, oh, well, if it's free, oh, I guess I'll take it. I think that's a big part of stacking for supports nowadays. Not just to help your cores get more gold, but, you know, to... Oh, darn, that lane is open. Oh, man. And we see DJ do that a lot. So we see here he's quite low level, but he's farming up gold, and I don't think he minds that he's that low level. And in fact, we're not even gonna leave. I'm not even gonna cut, because if I recall correctly, we're gonna see the same thing. He comes bottom, and he's fine. Like, Ogre can't go on him. Ogre only has targetable spells. Shadow Realm makes him safe. Now that he's 6, he can also threaten some people. So if, you know, if one of their supports tried to be in this bottom lane against just like a 1v1 support lane, he would win. He would get the kill. And so we see here, he just gets to farm while his team, you know, Dragon Knight's doing the jungling of the stacked camps, and he's free. He's, oh, the lane, oh no. Even though a lot of the people are missing, he's still not scared because, well, he's a little scared, right? He's kind of like watching out, but he can be in this bottom lane, and he's not that worried about being dove, which, look at this. 4 people come at him. What does he do? We're going to watch it again in slower motion because I don't have time to talk that fast. Hides in the trees so that people can't just easily walk to him. He's got these creeps helping him to block the way. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but Dark Willow actually loves trees, right? Because Bramble Maze has these openings in between them, and pros are very good at dodging it. So what can you do to prevent them from dodging it? Make it impossible to dodge by being in trees, placing them in trees, and then the trees create these pathways that you can't walk through the trees, and if you put the open spaces where the trees are, and they're trying to chase you through them, then they're forced into these brambles. And that's what makes it very difficult to dive a Dark Willow who's sitting back here, or who's sitting here, 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 wherever in these trees. And so we see this dive coming in. You know, they see her there, they want to go, and he tries to break the trees. There's still a path here. You put your stun on someone, put brambles, you possibly fear, he decides he doesn't need to, and this attempted 4-man gank fails on this position 4 Dark Willow. 4 of EG can't get him. And even better than that, they rotate people in. That stun he sent, get the kill. He turned around a 4-man rotation, being safe in this bottom lane. If it was a Crystal Maiden there, dead. If it was, you know, Magnus, probably... I'm sorry, not Magnus. No, yeah, Magnus. If it was Magnus, he's probably dead. Juggernaut's probably fine, but he has to back away, and he doesn't want to be slowed down farming. He doesn't want to just sit in the trees, but Dark Willow can. Same thing with Dragon Knight. He might be fine because he's so tanky, but he doesn't want to just be sitting there. This is something Dark Willow can do because of her toolkit, and it's something she likes to do because she wants gold. She wants experience. And that's kind of just what we see DJ doing, making use of the hero. And he's going to rush this Yules. I'm going to explain it, actually, while we watch him farm, because the next clip I'll cut to is making use of that Yules. I'm pretty sure his job this game was to get Ember killed. If you Yules Ember and put him into Brambles, because they changed the way roots work, Sorry, I said we're going to watch it while he farms. Ember can't get out. And then you fear him, or you put the stun and someone else on your team follows up. Sorry, let me clarify that. You Euls, Brambles, and then if you were to put your stun then, you would have to wait 4 seconds. In that time, Ember would have gotten away. But your teammates do have stuns. And, you know, it's hard for him. He does get Blink first. And if he's in melee form, he can Blink, stun, Ember Spirit. But what if he's in Dragon form? And then there's a cast range. Ember, by using Sleight of Hand or by using his ultimate, can dodge a lot of these stuns. Similar with Magnus, right? If he Blink RPs, RP does have a cast time, and it is possible to dodge it. Similar, Crystal Maiden, she's very poor. She has to just run in, right? And there's no way Sumail, fantastic mid player, he's not going to get frostbitten. He's going to Sleight of Fist, root her away, and then ult out, or something like that, right? So, her being able to use Euls instantly from range is very good. Frostbite also has like a short cast time. Euls instantly into Brambles. I don't know why I paused again. This is not what I was talking about, but that's part of the chain. Actually, this is still useful. You see her just TP out in front of 4 people, right? Because no one can cancel her. And so that's an example of like why she can do these farming things. She can just TP out in front of people, and no one in this game can cancel it. Again, except for like Rubik doing that thing, which, you know, it's very difficult. And maybe his... Who knows? But that time we didn't see the proper setup. That time we saw him trying to do the Blink combo, and then she used Fear to chain it, but unfortunately, the second route that Ember would have run into was blocked by a creep, and Venge was also there, so it would have been difficult. But we're going to cut now to an example. I said we'll cut to an example, but actually I had no need to. I checked my notes, and it was like, actually, right now. Here, we'll do it in slow motion. Euls. Brambles. Follow-up stuns. Still stun, but follow... Like, he got swapped, but he was still in the stun animation, so they just walk up and finish it. So that was the combo. Euls, Brambles, let your team follow-up stun, and you still have your E going down, so that by the time your teammate stuns in, yours goes, that dude is dead. That's why I think he gets Blink next, so that he can Blink initiate the Euls. If you see Dark Willow walking up, he knows Dark Willow can get me killed, he's going to play safe. If you buy the Blink, you can Blink Euls. Hopefully I have an example of that. If not, oh well. But if you remember the items page from the very beginning, he buys Scythe next. And I believe that's because of his countermeasure to Ember Spirit, who buys a BKB. That's what it's called. You know, once he BKBs, the Euls combo doesn't work anymore. And even if you Euls him before he BKBs and you drop him into roots, he can BKB out of that before you have time to fear. So you're no longer able to chain stun him the way you were before. The solution to that is if you Blink, Scythe him. And because it's an instant disable, now you can... Like, it's the same thing. You put your E on him, and your teammates follow-up stun. You drop roots, then you fear him. In a solo case, usually the combo is you Blink, Scythe someone, then you fear them as it's about to end. Let me change that. You Blink, Blink, Hex them, drop your E on them, you fear them, so then they're running through the fear, so they've been hexed, now they're feared, they still can't do anything, then they get stunned, and you can also, you know, you either use Brambles right after you fear them so they don't run too far, or you use Brambles after they've been stunned. But, like, that's just a long chain that they can't get out of that you can set up yourself now with Scythe. Or, if she has her teammate there, she can Scythe, they stun, she's put her E on it, she doesn't have to commit fear right away. It's just a good combo. And now we're going to cut to hopefully some examples of that. Okay, we're about to see a team fight break out here. So, we see the Euls combo. And then we see her use fear on the back line. He's going to be chain stunned based on the combo we talked about, so she doesn't need to fear him. And frankly, they want to be able to auto-attack some people, so instead you fear this backline, who Venge would try to swap him out, Rubik would, you know, lift one of the cores, something like that. So you fear these guys away. This guy is chain stunned. Get the kill. And this fight doesn't go much farther, but just kind of example, again, of the Yules. Doesn't have the blink yet still, but that's kind of what you want to look for the fear. You don't necessarily need to commit it to your own target. You commit it to the backline. A lot of the times, fear is either used to chain stun, or you just want to separate the fight. You don't want the 5v5. You want the 5v2 or the 5v3, and the two others are forced to run away. And by the time they run back, you've killed those 3 people, or you've killed at least one of them, and now you're in a 5v4. So the fear doesn't have to hit the whole team. It's not like it's like Black Hole, where people try to look for this 5-man black hole. It doesn't have to be like that. You can hit one person if it's a key target, but more likely you want to hit like 2 or 3. You want to split the team and finish them from there. Here we have an example of why he can play so aggressively with Shadow Realm. He can go for this kill. Like, they're ganking his Magnus 4v2, and he decides, I'm going to kill this Rubik. And he goes for it because he can just TP out. Usually, you want to use your Shadow Realm to be that final burst that gets the kill. But in this game, he can also decide, you know what? I want to live. I'm just going to TP out. Maybe he decides he wants the kill and he uses it. Let's say Rubik didn't get swapped out. He can get the kill that way. Or he can decide, again, TP out. So, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. You just have a lot of flexibility on this hero if you realize the possibility that Shadow Realm gives you when you have a very free game. If no one can cancel it, you can just run in that deep and be fine. Literally TP out in front of 4 people. What do they do? Nothing. What's that? You want to see Sumail die again? Okay, here's another clip. Team fight's gonna break out here. And although he could cast all his spells here, he's waiting. Here comes Ember. Yules, same combo. Brambles uses Fear this time. Doesn't feel he needs the stun. Dead. Now he can use a stun on Rubik to get another kill up here. He got this Yules crazy early, like 13 minutes, and it's really paying off for the team. They gave him all this space, and like this clip is why I really think that his role was get Ember killed, because he was waiting. He had a very good chance to use his Fear on multiple people or to bramble several of them, but he's waiting for Ember because he knows my combo gets Ember killed. I don't want to lose one part of my combo until I see Ember. He knows his role. His team set him up to get that, right? 13 minutes, 10 minutes that Ember has been vulnerable to this combo to die, and every time it's died. He's died 4 times so far. A lot of the other players in the other games, they get Yules like 16 minutes of the game is going fairly well. Some have even gotten it this late because they get other items first. And Ember at this point is almost at BKB. So by being given so much space and by having such a free game with Shadow Realm, he's really, both enabled by himself and his team to set up these kills on Ember. And that's why I think he hasn't queued it up yet. But he'll queue up the Scythe, and it's his next item. And it's just going to be used to keep killing Ember. Sumail's going to be tilted. Alright, next, DJ has saved up his money. He actually bought the entire Scythe at one time. I feel like he was trying to keep it a secret that he was going to get it. So he finally bought it 2 minutes ago or so. It has been revealed he has it, but here's an example of them using it. Blink, Hex, Fear, Bramble, so he runs through the Fear. Misses it a little bit this time. Might have actually gotten the kill if he had landed it. A little unfortunate, but the idea is there. He's actually going to die this time. Sumail finally gets his revenge because he gets the BKB off. But you see the idea there. That's what I wanted to demonstrate. By, use the Blink Hex, it would have killed Ember. It almost killed Ember. But he missed the Brambles a little bit, and the team was able to help respond, eat up some of the Bedlam damage, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's it for this game. We're going to move on to the next one. Alright, we're switching over to Secrets Yapzor. Why is it showing? There we go. Let me pause real quick. Replay bug. He started with the Sage's Mask, bought the Ring of Protection, and you'll notice that this is the very first wave. So, Zai has started to go over to pull the creeps and has given Yapzor the chance to get this first wave of experience, which if he gets completely on his own, he'll be level 2. which feels very Yapzor-esque for Zai to be the one going to pull while he gets the experience. But we're going to see him make good use of it, so that's why I'm pointing it out now. This will be one of the longer cuts, probably. But we're going to see him right now once I unpause. He's going to use Bramble Maze to secure the range creep and help position himself for this creep. See, he uses there. It's very nice. They're all together. I don't know what the priority is about who's like closest to the center is what I would guess. But positions it pretty well. Gets the range creep. Uses some creep aggro to get this one. We're going to see... Here, let's speed up a bit. Now with the Ring of Basilius, he wants to attack a lot because he has that extra damage. And now, so Zai has pulled the creeps. And because he was auto-attacking a lot, and I believe he had his Ring of Basilius on. He may have only had it on for a bit. I'm not totally sure. But you'll see him turn it on now because these creeps are going to run under tower and he wants them to survive because he knows the next creep wave isn't there. So either Yawar has to tank them under the tower or he has to pull them all the way back till the next creep wave. And either way, he wants as many creeps as possible to survive so that he can keep harassing Yawar. Like, look at this. He's less than half health already. So, Yawar decides to pull them all the way back. Yapzor takes one hit, doesn't really care. This should be showing. Might be a bug. So you just see him messing with Yawar's CS while Zai now pulls back there. And he's just auto-attacking. Trying to get these range deny. I like this one. He uses this to force Yawar to run around, which lets him fake him out on this last hit and get that deny, which I thought was pretty good use of the spell. And he feels safe to do this because he has this Shadow Realm. See, he just uses it here, and he can just get out. Very safe. He would have loved to have gotten that hit off, but it's no big deal. And that's all enabled by the fact that he got that fast level 2 and felt safe enough to follow the creeps under. Also powered by the fact he has the Ring of Basilius to help the creep survive and give him extra damage. Which I just think is a cool way to play this hero. Admittedly, it's hard to get, you know, if you're playing a pub solo queue, it's unlikely you're able to convince your offlaner to go pull for you while you get levels and experience, right? But maybe if you're in a team game, you can try to convince someone to let you play like this. But I thought this was a cool demonstration of, you know, making use of the damage from Fairy Fire, the damage from Ring of Basilius, to bully out a lifestealer who's typically thought of as this lane bully. Here's an example of like using these brambles amidst the tree maze. I think I mentioned earlier, just kind of forcing people to run into it. Didn't work out there so much. He didn't get a kill or anything. But yeah, I think that's all I have for this one. Actually, real quick, I want to talk about. He's about to hit level 3. You see, he held it for a bit and got Cursed Crown. I think that's gonna have to do with the fact that he has a Ring of Basilius and a Fairy Fire for extra damage, and he also has Zai giving him Bloodlust, so he wants to be able to auto-attack. Whereas if you get points in Shadow Realm, you kind of just have to, you know, Shadow Realm and wait for it to charge up before you can auto-attack. I think he wants more crowd control so that he can stun and root and get his auto-attacks while Bloodlusted off. That's my guess anyways. Next I want to discuss why Yapzor just dies right here like a fool. I'm just kidding. So he's dead. He's got 263 gold here. And he chooses to buy a tome, which I just think is interesting. I'm not, you know, flaming it one way or the other. Because he does have an enemy Mirana on the enemy team. But he doesn't buy the Dust of Appearance. No one on his team. Crystal Maiden has 1 sentry, but he doesn't buy one. And he also doesn't buy a sentry either. He buys smoke in a bit. Once he respawns, he uses this, buys smoke and a TP. And, I just think it's interesting. I mean, a smoke purchase is totally normal as a forward position. Also, Dark Willow, in particular, likes it because she can get solo kills. She can smoke on her own and possibly get a kill. So it totally makes sense to me that he would get that. But since they do have a Mirana, I'm kind of surprised there's not detection, I guess. Like, I feel like you could get Dust and then buy the tome a little later because he's already 6. He doesn't need it to hit level 6. So it's just interesting to me. Just interesting to see what the pros prioritize of this kind of stuff. And apparently he prioritizes tome but no detection. Could it be a mistake? Sure. I don't know. But they're like, what? 10-0 in the group stages. No, they're like 1 loss or something. I don't know. They're pretty good, so I have to assume their choices are deliberate and not a mistake, right? Yeah, that's all I have for this clip, actually. Nothing else. So here I just want a quick example of why he can't play as safe this game because of the enemy heroes in this team. So here he goes for that Jakiro kill, and then, he realizes he can't TP out, so he has to commit the W to get the kill. Whereas for DJ in that last game, right, he went for that Rubik kill and then decided, you know what, I can't get this. I'll just leave. Yapzor this time, after they mech, I think he probably realizes, I probably can't get this without dying, but I can't TP out at this point. I just have to go for it, and I'll just have to die. I guess I'll die, right? But he doesn't really have a choice. He just has to do it because of the heroes. His TP would get canceled, arrowed, ice path. He just has to. It just goes to show, like, your playstyle is dictated by what the enemy team has. So once again, another example of being unable to play as aggressive. I almost said safe. He comes up to farm just like DJ would, and Lifestealer comes up, but he can't just Shadow Realm and TP out because Jakiro and Mirana are missing, and he knows, if I try to TP out, there's a good chance I get killed. So tries to walk back, but pays the price for it. Okay, we're actually switching over to the Na'Vi game versus EG. I didn't really have anything else to say about Yapzor's game. Their game does go on for a while, but I just didn't have anything new to say there. And I suspect as we go on with these games, there will be less and less new stuff to say, so I probably won't show as many clips, which means I'm almost done with this video. Woo! Okay, anyways. Our hero here is actually going to die. He didn't know Lina was here, but I just wanted to play this clip anyways to show you the placement on Bramble Maze. He knows he wants to run this way, so he places Bramble Maze in the path that he's going to run so that, if they want to avoid it, they have to take this middle path, which is a little longer than his path. He's just trying to give himself more time, more distance. See, he even tries to juke around it, but still gets hit.
This guy has no
Dies. Oh well. But the Bramble placement was good. Okay, so once Lina leaves the lane, he feels a little safer to try to contest a bit. That's what he's coming over here for. And we're gonna learn something nifty here. Usually when you use Shadow Realm, you can't self-target actually. Because you're gone, invis for whatever reason. Hits level 2 for max killing creeps here. Salves himself after using Shadow Realm. I didn't know you could do that. You can't like force staff yourself, can't self-glimmer, that kind of stuff, because usually you're untargetable. I didn't know you could salve yourself. How did he do that? Wow! You learn something every day. And I haven't tested this, so I have no idea how he did it. But I'm going to assume he self-casted it, and somehow salve worked. I should have prepared more for this video. But you know what? I already excused myself, so we'll go with a low-quality video. Okay, we're actually just going to keep talking from here. I cut, but there's no reason to. Axe is just going to cut the lane in this game a lot, so he has nothing to really do here. And if we think about the games where it's been unsafe to be, when your Shadow Realm doesn't protect you, it's these AoE spells that hit you. And in this case, if Rocket from Gyro is already on you, it'll still hit you when you Shadow Realm. So he is unsafe to ET Stomp, Lina Stun, Ravage if that happens, and in the late game, Storm Spirit W, if he gets Ags, that'll hit him. But thinking about the Gyro Rocket, Gyro can't target you if you use Shadow Realm, but if he uses Rocket, then you can't Shadow Realm TP out because it'll still hit you. I kind of just repeated what I just said, but I'm saying it in the fact that he can use it whenever he wants, and you can't predict that. You can't think, oh, he's about to use Rocket, I need to Shadow Realm and TP right now. You have no idea. By the time he chooses to use it, you're just like, not dead, but you're stunned, and so you can't get out with Shadow Realm. And so because of that, he doesn't feel like he can stay in this lane. Like we saw Yapzor contesting Lifestealer up here, because he felt safe with Shadow Realm, even against the Chikiro, who wasn't quite there yet, so he felt a little safer. I suspect that with an Axe in this game, I don't know if he would have bought Basilius anyways, but I think in this game he doesn't feel it's as useful because, Axe is going to be playing away from him most of the time, and he doesn't feel safe to contest the Gyro like against the Lifestealer because he can be stunned and like ET can follow up. Also, Weaver actually bought a Basilius, so I guess you don't want 2 on your team. So I think that's why he chose not to do it. Or maybe he just doesn't do this build. I don't know. But you'll notice he'll spend his time stacking instead. And we have... Oh, sorry, this team. TA, she does a lot of stacks. Axe, he likes doing stacks. So, remember what happened in the... Was it Yapster's game? It's a lot of these games where you stack and then you get to take the lane. So that's what he's going to go for. He's actually going to go for the double stack here. Doesn't quite make it. It is possible. If he had boots, I think he could have done it. But he could have also committed his W to attack sooner. He doesn't quite have that much mana for it, so maybe that's why he chose not to do it. But it's definitely something he could have done. Sumail getting a kill here. What a player. And, oh no, a free lane. Oops. But he actually just tanks the creeps like, you know, great guy. Doesn't let the creeps go into the tower. And he's going to go for another double stack. It's not going to work. Nuts. Oh, I should have shown you the spawn boxes. It's pretty close. If he had boots, he could do it. I know this because he does it at 6 minutes when he does have boots. It may have been another time, I don't know. But he does do it in this game where he gets a double stack. And I believe he has boots and windlace at that time. So, it is possible. If you know how to double stack, your W makes it a lot easier to do it. But if you don't want to commit it, it's possible with movement speed. Has a lot of money, chooses wand and a... or stick, sorry, and a boot. Stick's very good against this guy. He uses a lot of spells. This guy uses a lot of spells. This guy uses a lot of spells. Spells. Great item this game. And if you get these 2 iron branches at the start, I think you generally always build into a wand. It's just very cost efficient at this point, right? The recipe's only another 150. And you get all these nice stats all into one slot. So okay, we're just a few minutes further in, and actually let me rewind 10 seconds, because he got stunned by Lina to start off, and so that's why he knows he can TP out. Kind of be aware of the spells that hit you so that you know, okay, Lina used a stun, I can get out now using that nifty Shadow Realm TP. Anyways, what I want to point out here, interestingly, he buys the Windlace instead of, say, finishing the wand. I say interestingly because, you know, a lot of times we're in this situation where we can only buy 1 item. So I think it's interesting to see what the pros buy. And instead of getting, you know, something to consolidate his slots in the wand, and we did discuss how it's a pretty good item this game, he chooses the movement speed. Possibly he's only at 2 stacks on the magic stick, so, you know, he doesn't need more charges quite yet. And he also still has a good amount of regen, so he may not really need the... you know, the extra benefit, the regen. It's not really regen so much as like a burst heal from the wand, but he doesn't need it yet, is what I'm saying. And then he also maybe just values the movement speed. I think a lot of 4s do, being able to move around. And, you know, if we speed up, he does think it's worth having the windlace in. But he's going to come over. Oops, we're looking at the wrong person. Or is it just bugged? I don't know. He's going to... Here, I'll do the slots this time. Double stack. So it's possible with the windlace. And maybe that's why. I've been lazy. I have not been practicing my stacks, to be honest. But he may have, and maybe he knows that, you know, you have to have the windlace to be able to double stack. Or it at least makes it easier. Because he still went for it, which makes me think it's still possible. I don't know. It makes me think it's possible without, you know, the movement speed if he went for it. But that just goes to show I have to practice more. That's why I'm not at TI, you know. I don't know these double stack timings. Nifty trick here real quick. The particle is missing probably because of replay. But you can use the bonus range to safely deny runes, hit Jug Ward. I don't know if I'll ever bother clipping it, but a lot of times if people are feeling unsafe, they charge up W and hit a range creep with it instead of like going into the river or something like that. Just ways you can make use of the range from the auto from your Shadow Realm. Although in this case he shouldn't be able to see that far, so it does kind of reveal that he has a ward. Yeah, TA's not 6 yet, so she wouldn't have a trap on it. So you do kind of have to be a little careful about what you're revealing with that extra range and auto attack, but I just wanted to show that as an example of something you can use. Safely deny runes without... There's a good chance he dies if he goes into that. if Storm goes on him. Actually, is Storm 6? Yeah, Storm 6. So there's a good chance he gets killed if he walked in there like normal. So here we get to see why you want a fast level 6. He's not quite 5. He does have the tome, but it's not at him yet. So his whole team comes for this. He has to back away. If he had Bedlam, he would just stand on top of him and secure this kill right away. If he chose not to get hit by Call Down, you know, they still get the kill here. But now, you know, he could get this solo kill if he had Bedlam. I'm not totally sure why he walked up. Maybe he thought he had Bedlam. Like, maybe he usually had it at this point, or maybe he's just coming in to try to help more. But he kind of walks into his death here, which Sumeo would take at least half his health, if not more. And, you know, they kind of pay the price to get this Gyro. You know, a support for Gyro is definitely not bad, but it could have gone smoother if he hit that fast 6, has that increased kill potential. It's kind of why you want, you know, a lot of XP on this hero to start off. It's not like, say, you know, a Dazzle, who doesn't matter as much if he doesn't get 6 so quickly. Alright, Na'Vi supports are pretty good about this, but they tend to make a lot of plays on their own. So in this case, see, it waits till the TP's right about the end, because you can see where you're TPing. So he waits towards the end, so he doesn't have time to, like, react and cancel. They get a quick kill here. Even though this is pretty deep, you know, they have the tower, but this is still on their shrine. But thanks to her kit, she can just do these kind of, like, deep plays, and then TP out fairly safely. And, granted, you know, he has some other teammates there. You know, it's not a solo effort, but you can feel safer doing these kind of things. Even though they have ways to get her, you can feel safer making these deep kind of plays, as opposed to, you know, if you're a Warlock or something, you can't do that. Not just because you don't have the spells to do it, but also, like, you have no escape mechanisms to get out. So it's important if you have these kind of escape mechanisms and high damage, you know, this is how you use it. This is how you push it to create space for your team as supports. What's that? You want to see Arteezy die? Sure, here's a clip. So he's farming there, and again, the supports have good vision here. This is how you can start up with the Fear. Admittedly, you can actually hear Fear from, you know, if it's cast out of sight, you can still hear it going. But you don't necessarily know where it's going to land, and you don't know which way to dodge. So it's still a good way to start, especially if they don't have BKBs or something like that. So, Fear into Ice Blast, all of that. Good stuff, good stuff. They actually both die here, I'm pretty sure. But you killed a Gyro, so you don't feel so bad. And you're causing these rotations. Like, see how many people come to this? So you're making space as a support, getting kills on cores. You know, it feels good. Na'Vi does not feel bad about these deaths, considering they're behind. You know, they're getting kills, making space. They're feeling good. Here I have an example of knowing who you can use your spells on. So we talked about the combo where you use all these. So this time, notice they get the call, uses Bramble Maze, uses Bedlam, but doesn't commit the stun or the Fear, and that's because both of these can be dispelled by Kraken Shell. So there's really no point in using them when they wouldn't result in that chain stun effect that usually the combo has. And Zayak has had to take a more active role. You'll notice he's still not quite at a Eul's Scepter yet. And that's because he's been making ganks with like AA and Axe. Part of that is kind of the team's playstyle, but also in this game, Weaver and TA can't quite take as active of a role as, say, like a Dragon Knight or something. People who can do stuff more. These two heroes want to farm a bit more before they start playing around on the map. So they don't have as much space to give Zayak to sit in a lane and farm, and because of that, he has a late Eul's. But it also doesn't matter as much that he has a late Eul's, because, like, let's say Storm Spirit. It doesn't work as much, because Storm Spirit already has a Eul's. And even if you rushed your Eul's Dagger, Eul's Scepter, why am I saying Eul's Dagger? Storm Spirit naturally buys a Eul's Scepter, so he doesn't even care, right? You try to do the Eul's Brambles, and he goes, oh, okay, woo, zip away. He's just not affected by it. Whereas Ember, it's no longer meta to really buy a Eul's anymore, so that's why a fast Eul's in that game made a lot more sense than in this game. So speaking of that, I have an example here. You know, they come in for a smoke gank, and Storm comes in, Eul's him, tries to get the Fear out of Eul's, but Storm has his own. So it's something you can do. It would be easier if Storm had used his own Eul's, and then he goes for that combo. Trying to do it when he still has his own is very difficult. But it's an example of a play you can try to make. And against other heroes who don't have their own Yules, it's something you could do if, say, you didn't have Brambles or your stun. You can try to fear out of Yules, but it's pretty hard. The timing's a little tough to get. It's something you have to practice. It's not something that you can just like randomly do, because if you hit it while they're up, that's awkward. Alright, we have another example here of how you can push out the lane safely. Now, we talked about how, you know, it's harder in this game, and he just saw a lot of the enemy team came bottom, so they're trying to get out, but they don't want this wave to push in quite yet, because they want to protect this tower. They're trying to buy time. So what you can do, because Lena's dead, she's how you cancel the Shadow Realm TP, right? And, you know, they commit Ravage, you don't even feel bad. You're like, guys, I just got them to Ravage me. We're good on team fights for a bit here. Stomp takes a long time to cast, and Gyro Rocket, if he doesn't cast it on you in time, you know, it's not going to stun you if you're in Shadow Realm. I'm sorry, he can't cast it on you if you're in Shadow Realm. So what he did there was he blinked, Bedlammed, Shadow Realmed, and TP'd all very quickly so that no one would have time to get him. He didn't quite push out the lane all the way, but he did a good amount of damage. There's another example of this happening, but I'm probably not going to clip it. It's, you know, you saw it once there. It doesn't change. But I will point out, he bought the Aeon Disc recipe in base, and that doesn't usually happen. Usually you buy the recipe last, because it doesn't give you anything. But in this case, you can buy both of these from the side shop, so I can kind of see where it's coming from this time. He wants to be able to buy it while on the map if that opportunity comes up. Sometimes, though, it is kind of nice to buy, say, the Vitality Booster and stick that in, say, for the clarity. You know, if you have the slots open, getting one of those is nicer, again, because they give you something. And since he can't buy the whole thing, I'm a little surprised he didn't try to buy one, but it does look like, see, they're pushed by the secret shop. So I think they did have a plan to come out here, try to get some kills, and he figured, maybe I'll be able to buy the whole thing pretty soon. But not this fight. Not this one. We can see the plays he's making, though. The gem! Getting out with Shadow Realm because they're focused on other people. Nice. Do I have anything else to talk about here? Nah. Okay. He actually does do something pretty next level, which we're going to see. That's going to be the next clip, actually. I don't know why he didn't buy the other piece right now. He's going to lock this. It's scary. This is some next level play. For those of you who don't know, Aeon Disc. Hold on. So, Aeon Disc, essentially if you get stunned, it dispels the stun, and you're free to do stuff. And it also means that you don't deal any damage during that time, though. So it can be very risky to, like, maybe you're doing the Bedlam combo and then suddenly it goes off and now you're not doing any damage. So a very high level play is to keep it locked until you need it and then unlock it, which is very scary because if you're not fast enough, then you just die, right? Without having, even though you had all the items, and you just look silly. So it's actually very impressive that he goes for this at TI. There's a lot of money on the line, but his nerves are not getting to him in this front. And the next clip will be where he uses it. Okay, we're going to watch it in real time, and then I'll slow it down so you can see. Roche fight. Scary time. Comes in trying to get the kill. BKBs, what can he do? Comes, gets zapped. Aeon goes off. Did you catch it? Did you see it? Here we go, slow motion. Here he's in the pit. Wash his mouse. Yule's after. Dies because he has no way out of the pit. So, I don't know if that was the best case to use Aeon, but he was trying to survive and be able to keep going. Hopefully his team came in to help him out or something. But you have to be able to do that very fast without panicking. So I'm pretty impressed he did it. It's probably the most impressive thing I saw in this replay. So at this point in the game, he has Refresher queued up, which I like. you know, double Fear, double Bedlam, that kind of stuff. Double Aeon Disc, pretty nifty. Good stuff. I think I would probably be a little greedy, maybe go for an Ags. I know a lot of them have BKBs, and a couple of them have Ghost Scepters. Here, let's take a look at items real quick. So, yeah, Lena's got a Ghost Scepter. E.T. has a Ghost... I'm sorry, E.T. has a Ghost Scepter. She has an E-Blade. And, you know, these three have BKBs. So maybe an Ags isn't the best. I guess she didn't feel like she wanted to Scythe this game because Axe Call goes through BKB. I believe TA's level 25 Bash Challenge also goes through it. So maybe she felt, okay, if they BKB, my team has ways to go around it. Axe Call is fairly instant. And Storm Spirit's ult does have like a cast time. It's not like Ember who can slide a fist super quickly and it's possible to dodge Call. Storm can dodge it, but it's quite hard. So maybe that's why she didn't like Scythe. But Q's in the Dagon. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe it's because they have E-Blade and Ghost Scepter. And maybe it's because he has the Spell Am? It's just a very strange item to me. Very strange. And, yeah, hang on. 1 second. You know what? We'll go through this journey together, okay? We picked up the Dagon very recently. It's 51 minutes. I was not paying attention to every time this was used. I'm literally just going to watch this icon. We're going to speed through. The first time I have note of it is at 62 minutes. Or 61 minutes. We're going to go through this. It's not even using it to farm. Using Bedlam a lot. Bedlam's got the same cooldown. Less cooldown. Or more cooldown. This has a shorter... Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, well then, there we go. That justifies it. 5 seconds longer. Doesn't want to use it to, like, get a range creep or something? I'm literally only looking at the Dagon icon. He upgrades it. Okay, I think Dagon 2 gets used once. Oh, there it was! Alright, so he was E-bladed. Right? Did I miss that? I was going kind of fast still. Axe Call. E-Blade hits him. Blinkin' Bedlam. Dagon level 2. Nice. Probably would have killed him without it, but okay. Use 1. Back to just watching this icon. I hope this is the quality content you're here for this channel for. Upgraded. Dagon 3. Gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? There it was. Where was it? Oh, this is the first one I noticed. He's gonna get this Tide kill. Boom! This thing's blocking it. $5,200 gold. For a Tide kill. So at that point it's a Scythe. So could you not Scythe there? Alright, I think I actually have all the other timings noted then, actually. The next one's coming at 63:43. I'm not gonna cut. We're on this together. He got this at 52 minutes. Or whatever it was. Here it comes. Here we go. Got him. Where's the TA probably would have killed her, but no, she did get slept right after. Aeon Disc going off again. Alright, when's the next time I have written down? 65-25. Here we go. We're at Dagon 5. Q in the refresher. Back up. Double Dagon. Oh, this is a good one. Let's watch this one. Ready? I'm gonna get this kill. BKBs and 3 shots her. If you scythed, couldn't BKB maybe? I don't know. It's just such a weird item purchase to me. It feels so memey. And the next time I notice this being used is 75 minutes. I'll cut for that one. That one's a little too long. Or should I? Let's just go. We're this far. Let's commit. You like watching the game in this disastrous state? You're getting a headache? Probably. I'm sorry. Maybe I should cut it. No, we're committed. Close your eyes. I'll tell you when. I missed it. It was a good one. Is that the one I had written down? No, I missed that one. Alright, that was one extra one. Did they get the kill with that? Was it worth it? Probably would have gotten that kill without it, though. It did a lot. It did like half her health, though. To be quite honest. Zoom forward. Back to watching that icon. Did it just go down one? It must be crazy. I know the one at 76 is a good one. Oh, what did she just use it on? Got him. Didn't even kill it. Quality content. Here we go. And did you notice the Aeon Scepter, the Aeon Disc is gone? It'll return at 85 minutes. We're not going to play the rest of this. I don't know what happened this game. I don't know. I don't know. Level 25, she gets Terrorized Duration because TA gets a Divine Rapier, spoiler alert. And you just want time for TA to hit things. That's it. Alright, we're on to OG versus EG. And here's that clip I was talking about. 1v1 Juggernaut, he decides, I don't want to do this. I'm a little surprised. I would have thought like maybe you brambles him while he's walking up, deal a little bit of damage, but maybe just doesn't think it's worth it because Juggernaut will spin on him.
Yo, this guy has no chill.
His team did end up getting 3 of them anyway, so maybe there was some team communication. They decided, you know what, it's not worth it. He doesn't have that much regen because he's doing this Sage Mask build, and decides to play it safe. Now we're going to keep going here a bit because I believe it should come up soon, and if not, I'll just look like a fool. There we go. I missed it a little bit, so we'll replay 10 seconds. So he kind of just throws out brambles, even though in the past we talked about, you know, having set up all of this stuff. This time he just throws it out. And I think it's because Abaddon had the shield up. They're just trying to get a hopeful trade a bit. And he also has the Sage's Mask, so he just wants to start using up some mana. Because otherwise I really don't know why you would use it here. So I'm going to go with what I said. So here we have a good example of how to use W properly. While he's in auto attack range, he wants to use it, and once he leaves that auto attack range, that's when he begins charging it and get the auto attack. Now that may seem kind of obvious because Jug was spinning, so of course you can't hit him at that time, and that's true, that plays into it. But I don't have another clip demonstrating what I just explained. Actually, I think there is one earlier, but I skipped it for this one, so I'm not going back now. It's too late. But that just shows, like, if they're in range and you have this, Ring of Basilius that gives you attack damage, you want to auto-attack them while you can, and then only use the W after they're out of range. Yup. Okay, next, I thought it was a little strange that he bought a Fairy Fire and got it from the courier around this time. But literally, as I was thinking it was strange, here we'll play this out. Here they come. Earthshaker gank, runs into the trees. Gets shield, eats the Fairy Fire. Wand. Waits till he's in the trees to bramble and waits for the spin to end. Buys enough time to get this Juggernaut kill. So, I mean, that's kind of what the Fairy Fire is for, a surprise heal. I think it's interesting he bought it after the laning stage. Usually you get it, one of your starting items, and then you use it. I don't very often see someone buy one after the laning stage has already gone on for a few minutes. A couple off-laners, I'm forgetting who specifically, they like to buy, is it Moon Meander? Maybe. Someone likes to buy a lot of Fairy Fires for the early laning stage and try to like bait out those kills. I'm going to suspect that's what Crit was going for there. Because who would have a Fairy Fire after that point? Because he didn't have one before. Who just buys one at 5 minutes? Crit does, and he baits a Juggernaut kill. So, points to a late Fairy Fire for some possible turnarounds like that. Alright, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but he walks through the small camp because one of the trees is cut, so I don't know if it was auto-pathing or he did it on purpose. Pulls the creep wave in, uses Bedlam to quickly farm this wave, and then the creep ends up being pulled by the small camp, and now he gets to farm the small camp too. Pretty cool play. Not sure if intentional or not, but thought I'd throw it in. It's just an idea you can do, looking to farm, because he wants to get the Yule, so he's been spending time alone, but I haven't been showing those clips because I feel like I've covered that enough in the other ones. It's getting late. I still have 2 more games to go through. You can use Bedlam to farm things. That's what we're going to go with for this clip, okay? There we go. Alright, Crit is about to be surprised here by an Invis rune on Thompson, and this isn't really a Dark Willow play specifically, again, but I like this a lot. You get gold from killing this, actually, and this guy's dead. He attacks, moves, second auto attack just in time before he dies. 38 gold on that. That's value. So, not really hero specific, but I like that a lot, so that's going in there. Okay, so I'm just going to play this while I talk a bit, although a kill is going to come up. It's just the classic combo. But you'll see he has Glimmer Cape queued up, which I thought was interesting. It's pretty good against Pugna, and, they do have a good amount of magic damage. Can maybe get you out of Juggernaut ult, but it's not that common of a purchase for her. We saw all those other games. Everyone goes Blink next. So that's why I thought it was interesting. Why did he do that? And then he switched to Guardian Greaves, which I don't want to read too much into because, every team has a way they think of playing the game. And so maybe he felt, or the team felt, we need Guardian Greaves. Who can buy it? Bane is never going to get it. He's so poor, right? And Abaddon went phase boots and is building the medallion. And these guys aren't going to get it. So I'm going to suspect, they felt they needed more team fight. And he was thinking that, okay, what can I contribute to team fight? I can contribute this. So that's all I really want to go into this, is that he thinks it's a viable item on the hero. Compared to like a Crimson Guard, he wouldn't be getting that on Dark Willow because it's too far out of the realm of her items. Or maybe it's not. Maybe if he queued it, then I would be, thinking, oh, he thinks it's something you can get on Dark Willow. But that's all I want to read into that, is that he thinks Guardian Greaves, something he can get on Dark Willow. If his team needs it, he would consider getting it. Here we're going to see, this is a very similar trick to what Taiga does, where I think he was just going to last hit this tower because it's low, and then he gets hit, so they he starts to back away because he's thinking, is there an invis here that can see me, or is there like a ward? And turns out there is a ward. Are we gonna go down low enough? It's actually right here. I don't have fog of... Well, actually I do have it on, but for this time it's not bugged, so it wasn't showing. Oh, it may have showed on the minimap briefly. But there was a ward there. It's about to die. And I think they know that because he got hit. He knew something had to be there. Actually, yeah, that's all I have for this part. Okay, so we'll notice that he's gone back for the Blink and Glimmer. Glimmer still being a team kind of item, you know, you can help people out. So maybe that's what they feel they need. And the Blink is kind of an immediate initiation, combining with Yule's. So maybe that's kind of what they think they need, because Abaddon can't really do it. He's this like frontliner who just like runs in. Now we'll notice here, I think he was trying to hit 3. Ana happens to be just a bit out. Can't really help with that. You go for what you can, right? But he still hits 2, which again, if we talk about what we try to do in these fights, we separate the team with our spells. So take the time to go for that ward, I guess. Thinks that's important enough to do. Uses brambles to keep them split off while they're killing the Earthshaker. And then when Magnus runs in here, he uses the E so that even if he gets close enough to RP, he'll be stunned and can't really do the like skewer out kind of follow-up, or you know, kind of dissuade him from using RP. And he was also the most like upfront hero, which helps. Now we're going to... Did you see that? I don't know if this was showed on stream because I didn't watch this one on stream. I just saw they played a Dark Willow game, so I watched it afterwards. So if you didn't see this, let's watch Ana's perspective here. Has the Manta, wants a Scotty, disassembles it, calls the courier, realizes, oh no, it didn't bring me everything I want. Unlock. Panic. Unlock. That's not what I wanted. And then it brings him the Manta again. Realizes, no wait, I wanted a Scotty. Disassemble. Reassemble. Gets the Eye of Scotty, but because he didn't have the slots, it dropped the Manta recipe. Gets denied. It's only 500. Little unfortunate. But that was some crazy item management in the middle of a team fight to realize like all of that. I would have just gotten a Manta and then later been like, hey wait, where'd that other item I had go? And realize I had like not enough slots. This guy's good. There's another from last TI when he was the PL at the side shop and he sold items to have enough for buyback and people were really impressed with that. Good stuff. I thought it was really funny later. If you haven't watched the True Sight, there's at some point where he's like, I have no idea where my hero is in the game. He's really good, but the game's hard. Alright, this is the last thing I think I'm going to go into. Thinking about your role in team fights, he sees that Earthshaker has Echo Slam, doesn't want him to get in, so he tries to go for this. Loses sight, unfortunately. Gets killed, but I think the idea is there. He could potentially kill an Earthshaker 1v1 if he gets his whole combo off somehow. But more than that, he just prevents Earthshaker from being able to blink in and echo. And although that time it didn't work out as great as he would have liked, I think he probably wanted to like Curse Crown and start bedlaming. But Jarek's reacted pretty well too. But that's kind of the idea. When you have someone who's hopefully fairly like elusive with Shadow Realm, to prevent the initiators from going in like that and hopefully get out is the ideal case. That's the last thing from this game I'm going to cover, but I think it's actually the last thing I'm going to cover in the video. Psych, you thought that was the last clip, but I'm back. I woke up filled with regret that I didn't cover all the games that I said I was going to. So now we're going to include these last 2 games. This one is Alliance against TNC. This is from day 2, the only game they played with Dark Willow this day. But the 4th game we're going to cover in this video. We'll notice he's doing the Sage's Mask build this time. And I wanted to include this to show... You know, in the first couple clips we saw of him, he was very reliant on the combo of You know, Boxy has a stun, and then he has the follow-up, and they do a lot of damage. But this time, he plays a little differently. Ring of Basilius gives you damage and armor. We're going to pause... actually, no. I'll pause in a second. We're going to pause right now. Okay. So Ring of Basilius gives you 8 damage and 2 armor. And he chose to keep a Fairy Fire instead of a Mango, so he has 2 extra damage. So what this means is he has 60 damage and 3 armor, comparing to Grimstroke, who has 47 damage and 3 armor. Now, if we think about the old build, Taiga would have about like 50, 52 damage, something like that, and only 1 armor. So he would have about 10% less physical resistance. So even though he has slightly more attack damage, he would lose a 1v1 against Grimstroke in terms of right click. But with this build, because he has a better attack speed, because he has so much more damage and now equal armor, he's actually going to win this right click war, which is crazy. He's at half health, and Grimstroke is at about full health. And Grimstroke doesn't even know Sand King is here yet. We know it because, you know, we're watching Dark Willow, but he was already running away before Sand King even revealed himself because he realized he can't win this. And again, he started at half health, used a Tango, lost some because it took a couple right hits, but now he's essentially still at half health. And now Grimstroke, we saw, got very close to dying, you know? And a lot of that was just the power of getting right clicks. He got off about 8 attacks in that time, which, if we just think about the Ring of Basilius, is about 64 damage that he wouldn't have had before in the other build. And we're going to see him continue to play aggressive, even though he's still quite low, even though he doesn't know where the other support is yet. You see him chase this Grimstroke even further, because he just has all this attack damage. He can play so aggressively. And I really think that's how you want to go with this style. Because you're getting all this armor and right click, you get this better trading. And he's also going to take E at level 3 this game, I believe. If I'm wrong, that'll be really awkward. But the reason he does that this game is, one, maybe because it's a tri-lane. And because Sand King is going to get 2 points in Sandstorm by level 3, maybe he just wants more crowd control to keep people in Sandstorm for extra damage. But I also think another part of that is that when you're using Shadow Realm, you can't auto-attack. You're not making use of this 8 extra damage. You have to just sit there and let it charge, which, again, it's not why you buy this Ring of Basilius, in my theory anyways. You want to be able to auto-attack a lot. So I think he chooses to get an earlier point in Cursed Crown because when the enemy gets stunned, he can keep right-clicking them, and getting off a couple more right-clicks, you know, this gives 90 extra damage if you charge it all the way at level 2. But if you auto-attack twice, that's already more than this 90 damage. You know, if he didn't do this build, it would be equal, because he would have about 50 damage with armor reductions. You know, he'd probably be doing a little less, probably like 80, 70 damage usually in 2 auto attacks. But with this Ring of Basilius build, now with 10 extra damage, he's now doing about 90. Then you consider armor reductions, and then you're considering the extra auto attacks he gets off during that stun. So I really like the adjustment to his build and his playstyle by, you know, just because he got the Ring of Basilius. Alright, there's nothing to learn in this clip exactly. We're just going to see 3-man Brambles. Oh, feels great. I guess we're learning good Bramble placement, but I just thought, that was so satisfying to watch. So of course I'm going to throw it into the video. Alright guys, there's nothing else I really wanted to watch in that last clip. Just the adjustment to the build and playstyle with Basilius in the early laning phase. So we're going to move on to the last game, almost done. VG versus EG. Crit's playing Dark Willow again. We see him start top for the rune. Now we're going to see him bully out the off laner here. And then we're going to get to what I wanted to actually show in this clip, which is his decision to rotate bottom. Now, of course, this may be a team decision, but still the way he does it, I think, is worth noting. So, see them bully out Ogre first. Just the 2 of them. The creeps don't aggro yet, so this is a very good time to just stand up here and attack them. And then he decides, okay, now's the time I want to rotate. We see that Sand King's being chased around and bullied, and Lion King feels safe. Lion feels safe to bully out Sand King at this time because it's just a 1v1. He has his stun, and if he gets stunned, it's not a big deal. We see he's pretty low. S4 has been saving his stun, though, for this rotation. By the time Lion sees that Dark Willow's rotated, I checked from his perspective. Just a second ago, he sees that Dark Willow's TPing in, and he thinks, I need to get out now. But it's too late for him because he TP'd out of vision, so they didn't know that he was coming. And you see the simple stun, Brambles combo, nearly get the kill. Very close. But the fact that they almost got that kill comes a lot from the way he rotated bottom, from going out of sight and then TPing right away. Very little time for them to realize that he left top lane at all. Now we're going to see him bully people out. He's going to buy the Ring of Protection next, which I thought was worth noting, because I thought, in a Lion lane, do you maybe buy a Magic Stick a little earlier because he's going to get mana drain, and you want to start building up charges to, have mana if he starts draining you. But no, Crit's still going to finish the Ring of Protection early, and I think you have to. If you are going to start Sage's Mask, I think you need to buy this Ring of Protection to get that extra armor, get the damage. It's why you're starting with the item, and I don't think you can delay it too much. Maybe if it was a tri-lane with more spellcasters, maybe he would have gotten the stick first. I don't know. Can't tell off of one game. But Lion and Troll are heroes that cast a lot of spells, actually. Troll, he throws out some of the most spells of any hard carry. Off the top of my head, I think PA probably uses Dagger more. And then Troll's up there in one of the high spellcasters. He's not like Lifestealer or Juggernaut, who only uses a spell like once every couple minutes. So if you ever had a duo lane to get an early stick, it's probably these guys when he has mana drain and a lot of spells, but he didn't. He still finished his Ring of Basilius, so I think that shows the importance of finishing this item really quickly, kind of regardless of who's in the lane. This is one of the clips I felt regret about not including, as I realized I forgot to do it. This is the body block setup. This whole time we've been talking about how you do a stun setup, but check this out. They body block him into a bramble. How cool is that? He had... I don't know if he didn't have stun or didn't have the mana. In fact, I should check. Let's do that. Let's start. Okay, guys. This next clip is one of the ones I felt regret about not including because I said I was going to include it and then I forgot. So, we're going to see Dark Willow and Sand King here go on Troll, but Sand King's stun is currently down. They use Sandstorm and they try to keep him in. They body block him into a bramble, which I thought was really cool. They were trying to keep him in Sandstorm. He just got out of it, but this probably isn't something you're going to do in a pub. It's pretty hard to body block, but the concept, maybe if you play party games, I play a lot of solo queues, so I wasn't even thinking about that, but if you play party games, you can go for it. It's pretty hard, but I thought it was a really cool example of, if you don't have a stun, say you didn't have a Sand King, say you had an Abaddon or something, it's still possible to sort of body block them into a setup for brambles. I don't remember if I've said it yet in this video, but a lot of people, when they buy the Yules, have been buying Voidstone first. So what's interesting this game is Crit actually switches it up, buys the Staff of Wizardry first this game, which I thought was a great adaptation for the game. Because if we think about it, you buy the Voidstone so you can stay on the map longer, you get that extra mana regen, it's nice, you use your spells throughout. But in this game, there's a Lion on the enemy team that can drain your mana. Your whole combo costs about roughly 600 mana, give or take, what you've leveled up and the extra mana cost. So you have enough to use the whole combo, and with a stick you have enough to use, say, one of these spells a couple times if the fight goes long enough. But that's if you're at full mana, and a lot of the times when you're playing around the map, you want to use, Bedlam to farm a bit. Maybe you go on a gank and you're using some of these. So I really like that he gets Staff of Wizardry first, which gives him about 120 extra mana, because Mana Drain level 1 does 20 per, or drains 20 mana for 5 seconds. So if he gets the entire drain off, that's 100 mana. So, before he got this, if he were to lose 100 mana, it's unlikely you lose that much, but let's say he does, then that really messes with his combo. He can't use all his spells anymore. So I really like that he gets this, because this essentially negates the fact that if he were to get mana drained at all, then he can still do his entire combo. And, the mana from Voidstone, the regen, in a team fight after you're getting drained, you're going to get back like 10 mana. That's not enough to make a difference. But having this extra Staff of Wizardry, getting that extra mana, I think it's just a very nice change to play against Lion. And no one else was getting the Staff of Wizardry first. In fact, they were getting it last a lot of the time. So, in fact, while I'm talking about that, I'll point out next that I thought he might buy the Yule Scepter recipe. I think it's later, like 22 minutes or something. He's in base, and he buys the Yule Scepter recipe instead. Or, I'm sorry, he buys the Void Stone instead of the recipe. And I thought he might want to buy the recipe because, you know, he's leaving base. Maybe he wants to be able to finish the item while on the map. But no, he chooses the Void Stone, so... Don't want to read too much into it, but at the same time, we can sort of guess that he prioritizes having the stats from the Void Stone more so than he thinks he needs to instantly finish the item while on the map. He's okay having to call the recipe in from the courier, and he would rather get the mana regen in that time. Now we've jumped forward quite a bit here. We're around 37 minutes now, and quickly before he buys it, we're going to look that he has Force Staff and Blink queued up. When we look at the courier, he actually now buys Blink from the side shop. Now, why was he thinking about those two items? Blink is very typical. Everyone was getting Blink on this hero after Yule's, right? Because it sets up that instant combo. And it's a very, like, an offensive item to quickly jump on someone. Now, looking at this game, I think it loses some value when you're against a Kunkka. Because if Kunkka X marks you, you know, blinking out no longer does anything for you. He's just going to drag you back. And because of the way the torrent combo works, it's very unlikely that you'll be able to blink out after he pulls you back in. Now, of course, he still wants a blink in general, but, you know, it's lost a little bit of value there. Now, Force Staff, on the other hand, also loses some value against X marks, because, you know, when you get X, you can't force yourself away. But something nice is that you can actually force yourself. Well, that's probably not yourself. You probably use yourself if you get X'd. But if, say, your teammate gets X marked, they get pulled back, they get torrented, and then you can force them away before the boat, because that's usually the full combo. Boat comes and hits after torrent. You can force them out and hopefully break up that combo a little bit. It's also very nice to kite Troll Warlord and to get out of Lion's mana drain. So it feels a little more defensive than offensive. And if you've been watching the clip, they've been sieging this tier 3 high ground, and I think that's why he chose to get Blink first, because it's the more offensive option. He wants to, you know, possibly blink in and lift up the Magnus. Remember, we saw him go on Earthshaker similarly, preventing him from, you know, blinking in and using Echo Slam when they were playing against OG. And so now Magnus has a similar magnitude of ult, you know, reverse polarity, pulling everyone in. It's a huge team fight, wombo combo. Look at their team. It would be huge. So I suspect that the Blink Daggers to help him, you know, be ready to quickly jump and interrupt that when they're sieging the T3 high ground. It's a big moment. We're about to see some of the value of Blink here, too. It's only about a minute after that last clip. We're just going to watch first. He blinks Yule's. This works on Kunkka, if you didn't know. Kunkka himself also can't escape. What am I trying to say here? If, you know, if X marks you, you Yule's yourself so that X can't pull you back. And it works on him, too. He can't pull himself back when he gets Yule's. And Force Staff could similarly get you in like that. But I don't think it would be as instant, and Kunkka would have time to react. So I do like, again, this is the more offensive application of a Blink Dagger. It's much more instant than the Force Staff, and we see it there. The Blink, the Yule's to cancel Kunkka's own X and set it up. They don't get the kill, but they force out a BKB charge, which is very good. So yeah. And now he's still going to go for the Force Staff, or at least he has it queued up. So he still thinks that's something good to get next. Kiting and, you know, the more defensive applications this time. That's what you thought, but actually Crit's going to switch it up. You know, Dota's hard, and the game changes, and you have to adjust with it. So he's going to go from a Force Staff, which we discussed the benefits of previously, and he's going to, drumroll, come on now, Aeon Disc, back to the usual build. And why? Because it's good. Dark Willow wants to survive fights, wants to keep them kind of messy for the enemy team. You throw out brambles, stuns, terrorize, make it difficult for them to play. She needs to be alive to do that. Further, the enemy team has a very big combo in terms of Magnus's ult. If he RPs, that sets up a Lion Spike, Torrent, Boat. Your whole team will be stunned for a very long time, and you want to make sure that someone can break that up. And kind of the supports roles are going to be that, ET or Dark Willow. Now, Dark Willow, if she gets caught, now she has this Aeon Disc that once she takes some damage, it will set her free from the stun combo. She can hopefully Yules someone, terrorize, brambles, whatever. She can just try to mess up the enemy team's combo. And that's why he switches to Aeon Disc, because that's kind of where the game is at. If they lose one big fight, it's very scary. So he wants to make sure he has everything as much as possible to stay alive and keep his team in the game. And that's what you would think, but he switches it up on us again. Buys Force Staff, sells his Ring of Basilius, puts in his Clarity. And now he's kind of lost me a little bit. Now going back for the Force Staff, I get that. We already discussed the pros and cons of both a bit. And in the time since he switched to Aeon Disc, they haven't really been comboed. And I think he feels ET will stay far back because Astral Spirit has such a long range. He'll be able to use Echo Stomp. What is it called? Oh, it is called Echo Stomp. For some reason I thought I was wrong. Of course I wouldn't be wrong. He has a long range to use Stomp to disrupt the enemy's combo, so he's probably feeling a little safer about buying a Force Staff, wants to help his team kite. Plus, Morphling has been copying Dark Willow because he has the Ags, and if you weren't aware, that lets him use Shadow Realm and attack from a super long range, so it's very hard for Magnus to jump in with a combo. So I think he's valuing getting the Force Staff to help kite people around a bit more. And why he sold the Ring of Basilius? I don't know. Crit, why'd you do that? I'm so confused. Because he had the open slot. It didn't give him buyback gold because he has the timer on it anyways. And by the time it's up, I'll tell you, he has enough gold. He has like 600 extra gold for buyback. So it wasn't necessary to sell the Ring of Basilius. He also chose it over Magic Stick. He didn't want to level up Magic Stick to a Magic Wand. So, in terms of raw value, 500 gold versus 200 gold, granted this one is going to give you some mana and health, so I think that's why, honestly, stick to Basilius. I can see why you would keep a stick, but an open slot, I don't know. Someone tweet Crit for me. Ask him, why did he do this? Was it a mistake? I want to say that's unlikely, right? But it just feels weird that he has an open slot and he chooses to keep the Clarity. And no one else on his team has a Basilius, if I'm not crazy. Yeah, no one else has a Basilius. So, 2 armor's not that much this late game, but, any small bit helps over a Clarity. So, honestly, this is one of those times I really don't know what to tell you. Put your own theories, comment, like, and subscribe, whatever, in the comment section. But the Force Staff, I understand. You're debating between 2 items. Maybe he's not sure which is the best, decides, I want the kiting. I threw my reasons why I think he did it. Maybe you have your own. Like, comment, and subscribe. Whatever. Basilius is a mystery. It's a mystery. Okay, guys, we're going to finish up with one last clip, a team fight coming up here. So, thinking back to an hour ago or something, when we were watching Yapzor play, I'm sorry, not Yapzor, DJ, who is playing very aggressively because of, no one's able to really do anything to him, didn't have AoE damage that much, so he's very aggressive in fights. Compared to Crit here, who in this team fight, notice he just stays away the whole time. He's doing what we've talked about, trying to disrupt the fight, throw out fears, brambles, stun here, now he's gonna fear right here. There we go. Whew. And he's just being disruptive while also being very safe. Move forward a bit. Troll ulted, so he's going to use Yules. Still staying along the back lines. Kind of pop out some damage. He was looking for the kill steal. Didn't need it. Now something I'm going to point out here. Check out his mana. He has very little. He's used his Clarity that he sold the Basilius for. I guess that's what it was for. He's going to pop stick and he's going to get 200 mana. Now, looking at this right now, what would you do? I think if I was playing, I probably would use Bramble Maze right here, somewhere like there, and then realize, oh, I don't have enough mana to do anything else. Crit is actually going to prioritize going for this Ogre kill. Why is he doing that? Well, it's obvious because sometimes you just have to kill steal your teammates. Kidding, of course. Ogre just bought back. So, what I think is interesting, this has, for Crit at least, maybe, I don't know what the team's to say. This team might be saying something, right? But from Crit's usual role of playing on the side this entire fight, using spells a lot, and in this case, he has a very good chance to hit multiple heroes in Bramble. He's not going to. He's going to blink further in, use Bedlam. Here, let's play it. blinks in, uses Bedlam, helps get the kill, 2 minutes dead on Ogre. Maybe he could have used one other spell in that time, hard to say. But from where he was pretty safe, because the other team didn't really know he was there. He could have blinked out if he wanted to, brambles and blink out, but he chose to go for that kill instead of the usual roll. I said all that, I'm repeating myself, but yeah, I just think it's cool. So clearly if he sees a target that he thinks is worth killing, in this case someone who has bought back, then it switches up his priorities as a Dark Willow player. Alright, thank you for watching everything if you have. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get to see some cool TI games, and hopefully this video helped. Thank you again.